causing a deadly, that could make us shift the soil.
Bush grows in that location.
100%. That's a theory anyway. So there you
Going
go.
down and checking that though. Who
Pardon
would have thought of going down and checking?
Well, I'll tell you,
that?
someone said that we put a canary down it, right? You know, and see whether
Oh,
they
the
would.
line, yes.
I said a very tall, skinny canary went down there, and there. And he didn't hit it. I
He was
said,
coughing and sputtering, was it?
we were coming out there like just basically with banging headaches.
Really?
We bought a meter then to check it, and it was off the scale. But we wouldn't. You know what I mean?
Was the canary the one that nested in the snout of the bull?
That's the ones. Now the poor old bull, we've got a new bull coming. We had him for good few years. But Storm Mayo and Fairley did a job on him there. So, but I suppose I'm going to tell you that story. I tend to talk a lot for those of you who know me, which is a good thing because we're doing a tour together. But if you're uncomfortable, you want to take a break, I will check with you occasionally, obviously, to see are you live. But let it be known, if you want to ask me a question, you won't bother me in any shape or form. I'm guiding here for a long time. I don't care about interruptions or questions or people throwing things at me or anything like that. So the idea would be we'd have a nice time. So you let it be known. Is that alright? Other than that, I'll just keep going hell for leather, and I'll trust you because you look like a very responsible lot to look after yourself. But before we go out to Rathcroghan itself, just thought it would be nice for us to mention a couple of very important monuments in the medieval village of Tulsk. Because here in Westport, this is a road that you all know well, so it's nice to mark them on it. And the first one is this one directly behind us here, and it's known as Tulsk Fort. Now Tulsk was always noted as the site of a medieval O'Connor castle. And the name of the townland beside us here, the Ogala River, which is running beside us, is the townland boundary. And the name of the townland beside us here is called Castle Land. So some of you were in the pub there, in Eugene's pub, there's another mound you see behind the pub. Because that townland is Castle Land, that mound was always presumed to be where the site of the castle would have been. But this monument here, Tulsk Fort, was actually excavated between 2004 and 2009 by the Discovery Programme, the government's archaeological programme. And if you could take a thin layer of soil off the top there, I've got a very water damaged photo here. You wonder how it got water damage in Ireland, you could say at all. What they uncovered there were the foundations of a late 14th, early 15th century Gaelic style tower house. So a stone built tower fortification belonging to the O'Connor rule. So it's on the eastern end, see where the telegraph pole is, just there. So just over on that bit jutting out there as well. So in the late 14th century the O'Connors had a dynastic split in their family, right? Some things never changed. And the O'Connor rue, you know, is the Irish for red, presumably from the colour of the Guig, came down here, constructed this tower house here in Tulsk, and the O'Connor Dons, the Brown O'Connors, went down the road and took possession of the Norman castle at Ballintubber. Now I'm from Mayo, like yourselves as well, so I'm always telling people in Mayo that Roscommon, sorry, the best Ballintubber is in Mayo, but I know I'm on a good audience here for a change. I usually don't get much agreement. Now interestingly, what they found underneath the site of the medieval castle, they didn't expect to find that actually, that turned a summer project into a 5-year project, was evidence not only of an Iron Age settlement, but a suggestion of settlement all the way back to the Neolithic, to the New Stone Age. In Ireland we know that 6,000 years ago approximately, when our first settled farmers are coming in, they found some church samples down there. Churches, we know, very good stone like flint for sharpening, for making tools and blades out of it, indicating, if you like, a continuous use of 6,000 years in layer after layer after layer, contained here in the fort behind us, mimicking in a small example what's going on a larger scale in these few square miles directly around us here. So it's referred to as Tulsk Priory, and the original priory is nearly all gone now. You can see the gable at the back sticking out there. That's part of the original priory. Part of the transept, which would have been later added, is still there, and that was constructed in 1448, and it's a Dominican priory. I'm sure you're familiar with Roscommon town down the road. There's a very large Dominican abbey down there, stuck onto the side of the Abbey Hotel. You'd wonder where they got the name of that. That would have been headquarters of this place here. So probably about 6 months would have been sent from Roscommon down here to Tulsk to service the religious needs of the castle and the community that would have been growing up here around the crossroads at that time. Now, the front structure you see there is a later addition, and it's another tower house structure with a more grander English type. And that's constructed in the late 16th century by Queen Elizabeth I governor of Connacht. His name is Sir Richard Bingham. I'm sure you all know who Sir Richard Bingham is. He's a bad man, Bingham. We know he was a murdering psychopath, really. He got a bit of time in the Tower in London in the end for his troubles, and certainly he deserved it. Wasn't Lord Lucan, I think that's Wasn't Lord Lucan descended to the Bingham